Hey guys, Mike Fisher here, MF Cash Flow. That's right, Mike Fisher or the motherfucking cash flow, however you want to take it, guys. I know you won't forget it. So guys, today I have with me a good friend of mine, Chris Naugle. Man, this guy, he is just a wealth of information. I can't believe this guy. I mean, he's just like, you guys got to check this guy out. He gives out away so much value just in his YouTube channel. And then there's so much more. He's actually written a couple books too. Was it the Private Money Guide and Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery? So, Chris, man, I won't even take away the introduction because you've got so much experience here, man, and so much value. I don't want to waste people's time. I just want to jump right into it, man. What is it that lights the fire under you to get you going, Chris, to, what sparked it right from the beginning to say, hey, like, I love this game of money or whatever it is that you're thinking about? What is that?
Yeah. So what sparked it was growing up without any money. That's exactly what sparked it. Growing up, watching my mom struggle, and my mom was a single mom. Dad was an alcoholic and he was out of the picture early on. But my mom struggled to put a roof over our head, put food on the table. And I watched this my whole life. And I never knew that anything was wrong with that. But when I got a little bit older, early teens, I started realizing that things were different. Some of my friends, they just had things. When they needed things, they just asked mom and dad. And I'm like, it's not the way it works in my life. If I want something, mom and me go out, we shovel some driveways. I go, mow the neighbor's lawn. That's how I did things. If I wanted a dirt bike, I saved all summer long to get that dirt bike. That's what kind of initially catapulted it. But the next thing that really happened was when I was 16, I got a big boy job at a restaurant, but I was so badly abused at that restaurant, verbally and just everything else, that I literally became clinically depressed. I just thought I was worthless and I couldn't do anything right. So I remember the day when I walked into that stupid restaurant, and I remember saying, I quit. I quit trading hours for dollars that day. That's the day where stock market just closed. That's the day where I called it. It's funny, the bell rang right there. And at that point, I came home to my mom and I said, Mom, I know you're going to be mad. I quit the job. I can't do it anymore. And I want to start my own clothing line in the basement. Can I do that? So that was where I became an entrepreneur. I was 16 years old. I started Fat Clothing Company in mom's basement. Fat was PHAT. And I was a punk skateboard kid. My biggest dream in life was to be a pro snowboarder. But at that moment, I kind of figured, okay, I'm going to do these shirts. And I started printing them at my art teacher's art class after school. I've made a dozen shirts, sold them, then 2 dozen, the story. So over the next year, from 16 to 17, I was designing these clothes, working with my friends, selling them, going to bands, and putting my clothes out. And it was a wild little ride. But what actually happened is I ended up building like a nice little business. So I had this money coming in, and every time I needed money, I would go on the road and I would sell my clothes to a skateboard or snowboard shop by the snowboard hills where I was traveling to compete. And at that point, I started kind of getting the second idea. Remember, I started this company with a $500 loan from my local credit union. And I started seeing all these guys with these shops. They had the perfect lifestyle business. And I'm like, well, I've got my clothing line. My dream is to be a pro snowboarder. And all I want to do is have like my own place that I can call mine. So that started the idea of Fat Man Board Shops, PHAT. But to get Fat Man, I needed a $70,000 loan. I couldn't just, go out and open a business. I needed 70 grand. And I remember getting turned down by everybody. I literally still have the original business plan that I wrote for that. And it had my baseball card collection as collateral. Like, that's how real this got. And everybody said no, but my mom watched this all happen, and she watched my dream fading again. And I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't meant to happen. Maybe it's not going to happen, but it was hard. And then all of a sudden my mom said, well, I know you can get a loan from the bank, an SBA backed loan, but you need collateral. What if I put the house up as collateral? Now, remember, we grew up very, I don't want to say poor, but very lower middle class. And that's all my mom had. So she put her house on the line so her crazy 17-year-old punk snowboard kid could go out there and chase his dream. And that's when I really learned about money. And that was the start of it. That was the drive that kind of made it so that if I fail, if I failed, I lost mom's house. So that wasn't an option. Wow. That's kind of how it all began. I mean, there's so much more to the story, but that's what the initial drive was, to go out there and actually figure the money game out.
Man, like what a responsibility and burden you had on you to win, right? Like there was no choice.
There was a lot of nights.
You had to win. And how much
There
your
was nights I
mom
remember
believed in you.
vividly. Yeah, it was crazy.
I bet.
I mean, stupid of my mom to do that if you really think about it. And I remember there was so many nights I had the small little back room where every day we'd get shipments and I'd put all the boxes, I'd break them down and put them in the back to take to recycling. And there was so many nights I cried myself to sleep on those boxes, not knowing how I was going to make it through the next day. But here we are. I ran those businesses that was 1994. I ran those businesses straight up to 2010 when I sold them, and they're still in existence today. And it's Fat Man Board Shop's a very well-known skateboard shop. I went on to be a pro snowboarder, had my own snowboard and skateboard team with the shops. I mean, I did all that. And on that journey to doing it, one of the unique things that ended up happening is I got really leveraged. We were growing fast. We had 4 stores opened. I was out snowboarding, I was literally living like the fantasy world, like pro snowboarder, owned my own shops, wasn't making a ton of money, but I was living the life, traveling all over the world. And I remember when the planes hit the tower, when the planes hit the towers, I remember that day, 2 days before or a day before, I had just landed from California. And I live in New York, so you can imagine how much that rang home. I was driving out to my newest store, and I remember hearing it on the radio that a plane hit the towers. At that moment, I had never, ever been through a recession. I had no idea what a recession was, had no idea what market, correction was. I was just living this fantasy world, much like people were before COVID-19. They were in this balloon, right? This artificial world of just good times. And when the planes hit and my businesses got crippled, and I remember I had to close a couple stores and I had to go get a job. And that's what landed me in the financial advisory world. I put resumes out and I got calls from pizza delivery shops. I'm like, well, that could work. I could deliver pizzas at night and, until my stores get back to where I could start taking an income. Or I could try this financial advisory thing out, which sounds cool. I seen the movie Wall Street. That was pretty freaking awesome. Greed is Good, Michael Douglas. That movie changed my life. I loved it. Not because greed was good, but because he was just a powerful man. And I never had that power. I never had that understanding of money. I never had money. So I looked at him and I'm like, I want that. So if you want something, what do? You mimic the people that have it. So I went out and I became an advisor. And I thought it was a temporary thing. But you know what? From that point, which was 2003 till 2008, I became one of the top financial advisors in the firm. My businesses, my retail stores continued, and I just had people running them. I had managers that I put in place. I started learning how to work on a business, not in it, because I'd never known how to do anything but work in my business. And that went awesome right up till 2008. I was crushing it. I was one of the top guys. I'd flipped 2 houses up to this point, and then I was in 2008, and my next big dream came to me in 2008. And that wasn't the crash. My dream was to buy this dilapidated strip mall, convert it into a 3-unit strip mall, and then I was going to move my store into it. And, I started that and I got into it. I borrowed money from the wrong people to do this, $340,000 to buy the strip mall. And then all of a sudden, you know what happened next? There was this little thing called the Great Recession. It hit me like a Mack truck, man. And it brought me to my knees so bad that one night I had to go to my wife. Well, she wasn't my wife. She was my girlfriend at that time. She had just moved into my house, and I had to say, sweetie, I need your help paying the mortgage. I need your help paying the utilities. And by the way, my buddy Pete's going to move into that bedroom down there, and we'll probably rent the other bedroom out too, which we did. And that's what it took. That's what it took to make it through that time.
Yeah. And those times have brought you to where you're at today and such a great level, right? Is you didn't just accept it. You went out there and kept on grinding and grinding and grinding. It never let up, man. I wish it was that simple. The story doesn't quite have a happy ending like that. You see, 2008, 9, they were hard times. But in 2009, and I love that you mentioned this when you were on my podcast, you mentioned Warren Buffett, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. This is 2009. I was an advisor. I knew a thing or two about buying low. So I started buying apartment buildings and I started doing it, but I didn't understand the community bank thing and I didn't understand money. So the way I was buying them was personally, I was taking personal mortgages out on every one of these rentals. And I got up to 36 units from 2009 to 14. You would think like I'm a rock star, right? I'm up at 36 units. I'm this young pro snowboarder because I was still snowboarding. I had sold my stores. I had sold the strip mall, but at this point, actually I hadn't sold the strip mall up to this point. I'm sorry. That happened next. And then in
36 units. I brought the 37th unit to that bank, and they said no. And they said, yeah, Mr. Naugle, you know, we've had a great relationship with you, but you don't fit in our little square box anymore. Your debt to income ratio is way out of whack. You're doing all these mortgages in your personal name. I'm like, I don't get it. We've got rents. I'm paying mortgages. I've never been late. Like, why can't I get a mortgage? Well, you don't fit in the box. So I didn't get that mortgage. No big deal. 37 wasn't going to happen. But then they did, man, those little bastards, they pulled the rug up from underneath me. They froze my lines of credit. Those lines of credit, at that point, I was highly leveraged. Those lines of credit were all I had to finish these renovations. They froze them all. So in 14, just when I thought it was like that catapult moment, I was there.
Yeah.
You know, I had it. And now I had to sell all 36 units because it was like, it happened so fast. It was just like, once that happened, one thing went wrong, you know, always sewers. I'm sure you guys have the same thing in Chicago. It's always the damn sewer lines because of the roots. I think I probably, out of 36 units, I probably had 7 sewers back up. And you know, they're expensive, a couple grand a piece. It literally was close to bankrupting, man. I ended up having to sell all 36 units. Then we had to sell my dream house, which me and Larissa, who is now my fiance, that girlfriend from back in 09. So we had to sell our dream house, and I was at rock bottom, absolute rock bottom at this point. So the fairy tale of where you thought it was going wasn't there. This point is when I really learned some hard lessons. And I went through a whole period of, you know, just blaming everybody, of hating everything, of just, you know, I went through that period, and it almost ruined my relationship. It almost ruined my life. And in the mail, I got a postcard to go to a seminar. Like you talked about your mastermind, I got a postcard to go to a seminar to learn how to flip houses. Kind of ironic. I tell this story from stages across the United States, and people are always, they get you that look. They're like, you went to learn how to flip houses? I wasn't going to learn how to flip houses, man. I was going because I was so humbled by my failures, and they were giving away a freaking iPod shuffle. I went for the iPod shuffle. That's the truth of the matter. And at that seminar, that's when it all changed, because I met 2 people who became my 2 mentors. I spent $80,000 over the next few years learning from them, going through this education program and learning how it really worked. Because the thing I learned at that seminar wasn't how to flip houses. I learned that everything I'd learned my entire life about how money worked was a complete lie. I'm a financial advisor at a high level, managing millions and millions and millions of dollars. And now all of a sudden I meet these 2 guys who are rock stars. Literally, like, one guy had an A&E show. The other guy was like the bank, and he was lending money. I watched and I listened to these guys, and I'm like, wait a second. These guys are doing this, and I've been taught to do this. Like, where was this disconnect where I was told to do this and they've been doing this the whole time? Look at where they're at and look where I'm at. Like, fuck this is what I said. I said, this is bullshit. And I wanted what they had. And I did anything it took, maxing credit cards out, going deep in debt, following them around. You know, when I didn't have any more money, I offered time. And I literally I learned everything from them and through the journey. And from that point, from 14 till now, you know, me and my wife had a show on HGTV called Risky Builders. I've gone on to do 257 flips. We've had well over 100 apartment buildings. We've been selling them off lately, just trying to get as much cash as we can, because we're going to talk a little bit about what people should do in these times. And everything I did from that period of time prepared me for what I do now.
Yeah. So that's a great topic, because like what, you know, where we're at today, you know, depending on when people are listening to this, like we're, you know, hopefully going to be, we're at the tail end of this pandemic. But like nobody saw this coming. I'm going to guess maybe 2% of people actually saw this coming, but more so, even if you did see it coming, did you prepare for it? Or did you know how to prepare for it? And I think I heard, and maybe you know more of a factual number, but I heard 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which is astounding. But you know, I like what you said. You were running around and just you were giving the people that had the knowledge, you were giving them your time because you wanted to learn, right?
And I didn't have any money left.
And you didn't have any money left. You know, like this video right here, you know, this podcast right here is valuable. And one of the things that I do, even though a lot of the stuff that they say may not make sense to me, and that's okay, but I listen to like Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, Sam
Ray.
Zell.
Yes.
Like listen to all those high guys, man. Like, because one of these days it will make sense to what they're saying. It'll click. So, I have to spend time with them people. They're not sitting right next to me. They're not, I couldn't afford them to coach me, but this shit's for free right here. I mean, if we can go to it right now, and I listen to it all the time, just as background noise. I mentioned to you, I don't have a TV. I don't own a TV. So like that is my background noise. It's not CNBC, it's
That's
Warren
good.
Buffett.
Fake news is no good.
No, fake news
So
is not good.
and you mentioned Ray Dalio. His book Principles is a phenomenal book. And for those of you that don't know who Ray Dalio is, he is the world's basically created and ran the world's largest hedge fund. World's largest hedge fund. To say that he's a bit of a genius when it comes to how money works and investing is a drastic understatement. But the problem with a guy like Ray Dalio is he doesn't coach anybody. He never even talks about what he does. But recently he did a TED Talks. And any of you that are interested to know what is going on right now and kind of predict the future of where we're headed, he did a TED Talk. And for the first time in decades, the man actually told you his thoughts of what he thinks. And you're not going to like what he said. But you're going to understand that you're not going to like what he said, but you guys should all look up Ray Dalio's TED Talks, and it will scare you, but it will prepare you.
Yeah. And even when I heard it clearly, I heard it, and I got the chills.
Yep,
and it's not good. It's rather sickening. And people could laugh at me, laugh at him, whatever. But day by day, we're falling right into exactly what he is presenting, how he sees it happening. And it's happening day by day, and it's creeping up on us, but we're just sitting here like sheep and waiting for it to happen. So, like, Chris, what to do at this point? Let's just say, like you and I know we have a really good idea. We don't absolutely know. There is no absolutes. But like, even if it is going to be half as bad as what Ray says, which is really, really, really bad.
It might be worse.
Yeah. How do you prepare for that in today?
It's easy.
You're the money guru here, guy.
Yeah, they call me America's #1 money mentor. I don't know how I ever got that title, but that puts a ton of pressure on me. But so I can certainly tell people what to do. The problem is, I will tell your audience and any audience exactly what to do, how to prepare for this, how to get ahead of this, how to be the leader in this, how to be the light in the darkness right now. But how many of you are actually willing to do what it's going to take? Yeah. Now, you might sit there and beat your chest and be like, I'm willing. Sign me up, coach. Bullshit. Because the truth freaking hurts. And that's going to be the thing I'm going to tell you. And I have been telling people to get out of the stock market now for well over a year. And I got ridiculed. I got laughed at. People wouldn't put me on their podcast because they knew I was going to tell people the doom and gloom of what was coming. And I was right. And it wasn't because I'm some genius. I mean, I spent a lot of years on Wall Street, over 16 years on Wall Street, and I've studied money to a nauseating level. But it was very easy to see what was coming. But you know what the problem is? You mentioned it, lions, not sheep. People just follow. People are just sheep. They really are. They're led off the cliff, and they don't even realize it because your whole life. And listen, folks, you can hate me for what I'm going to tell you, but I don't really care because this is the truth, and the truth hurts. Your entire life, what you've been taught about money has been a big lie, because what you've been taught your entire life is to give up control of your money. What have you been taught, right? Every advisor, banks, your employers, put money in 401ks, put all your money in these retirement plans, right? And someday later, mutual funds. And someday later, you're going to be paid back. You're going to be able to ride off into the sunset, sail off into the sunset in your little sailboat that you save for through your retirement account. How's that working for America right now? Because you know what you really were taught to do by doing that? You were taught to give up control of your good dollars today to be paid back with weaker dollars later. Think about it, really. Let's just take that for a second, because where is the majority of money, the vast majority of money in America? I'll tell you where it's at. Employer-sponsored retirement plans. That's where, because that's what you've been taught to do. Putting your money in an employer-sponsored plan, number one, helps the financial institutions make a godly amount of money. Number two, it allows you to give up your control of your money. You literally are taking your best dollars today, folks, they just printed $2+ trillion of money. I don't think you quite understand what that means. And they're talking about another 3 trillion. Let's just round it up and make it 5 trillion for those good old Dems, right? The Dems and the Republicans get together, have a party, and they print $5 trillion. You don't even know what that means. What that means is they print $5 trillion out of thin air. That money is an exchange from the Federal Reserve and the government. There's just an exchange, right? You would think it's a suitcase of money flowing over and then an IOU. That IOU is called bonds. Treasury bonds, and it's just IOUs. And every single time that exchange happens and money is printed out of thin air, do you know where it gets its value? From your current dollars, the dollars you're giving up control of. Your dollars today are worth the most they will ever be worth, because tomorrow they're worth less, because milk goes up in cost, eggs go up in cost, your cars go up in cost, fuel, everything around you goes up in cost. And when they print $5 trillion, the only place that $5 trillion pulls value from is your current dollars. So now let's really talk about what you're doing and how you get ahead of this. How you get ahead of this is you get back control of your money. You stop giving up control to your 401ks. Oh, but Chris, they give me a match. Great. Let's talk about what you're doing with money, because here's what you're doing. You see, you do things with money you'd never do with things that money buys. For example, would you ever go to the grocery store, buy a nice Italian loaf of bread, come home, put that loaf of bread in your freezer, shut the door, and then wait 5, 10, 15 years, come back to your freezer, open the freezer, take out that awesome loaf of Italian bread, look at it and say, yum. No way you'd have a freezer burned piece of something you'd never eat. Would you ever buy a car and wait 5, 10, or 15 years to drive that car? Would you ever buy your dream house and wait 5, 10, or 15 years to move in? If you did, your marriage would be over. But yet we do that with our money. We just don't. We do things with money we wouldn't do with things that money buys. Wake up. You need to take back control of your money. But here's the second part of that. Let's talk about control, because you might say, well, yeah, but Chris, I don't have much money in my 401k. And I'm not telling you to close out your 401ks. If it's in there, the damage is done. Or, well, maybe not. But what about lines of credit? If anyone can learn something from 2009, they will learn that you are not in control of your line of credit. If you have a house right now, your house is at the top value it's ever going to be at, ever, okay? And you might disagree with me, but right now your house every single day is becoming worth less, because guys like us right here are looking for property values to drop, and they are. And that means every single day that equity that you have sitting in your house that you hold so dear to your chest, because that's, oh my God, I have equity in my house. That's my saving. That's what I'm going to retire on. In 2009, a lot of people had a lot of equity in their houses, and that's what they were living on. That's what they were remodeling on. That was their nest egg. In a matter of a year, it vanished. That same thing is going to happen right now. So if you have not gone to your local bank and applied for a line of credit on your house, shame on you. What the hell are you waiting for? You're letting your money sit in your house and be lazy while that money's doing nothing. It's sitting on your couch, eating your potato chips and watching the TV you don't have. Your money's being lazy. Put it to work. Go get a line of credit. I don't care what it costs, because cost is only an issue in the absence of value. Get a line of credit. Get that equity that you have and put that money to work. If you're a real estate investor, you have the greatest answer to that. Buy real estate. It's always been a proven investment. You can buy real estate. But then let's just say you got equity in your house and you're listening to this and you're just like, I don't want to swing hammers. I don't want to flip houses. I don't want tenants. Great. Be the bank. It's the greatest thing on earth. Tap into the equity in your house, because it's just lazy money, and take that money and learn how to be a lender. Lend that money out to people that go out there and hustle and do it. And then securitize your money with that property. So just learn what the banks do, mimic what the banks do, be a lender. That means you just collect paychecks every single month and you haven't had to lift your finger. All you had to do is learn one new thing, and that's how to make your money go to work for you. So that's one thing you need to be doing. If you don't have lines of credit, go apply for them. If you haven't got a home equity line of credit on your house, go apply now. And if you get turned down by one bank, go to a credit union, go to a community bank. Now, I'm just going to keep going here. Is it okay if I just keep?
Yeah, keep rolling, man. You're spitting gold, brother.
So let's say you got a bunch of money sitting in a conventional bank. Maybe it's Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America. You got this big nest egg sitting at your bank. I want you to I want a little bit of experiment right now. I want you to go to your bank today, and I want you to try to take all your money out of the bank. Just try. I don't care if you got 10 grand there, 20 grand, 50 there. Go there and smile and wear your best suit or dress. Go there and say, yes, hi, I'd like to withdraw my money from my bank. the teller's gonna be like, okay, miss, or okay, sir. They pull it up and they, all of a sudden that smile turns into a frown. They're like, shit, they have more than $5,000. Ma'am, we can't give you all your money back today. And then, you're the client with the money in the bank. You look and you say, well, why not? It's my money. It's in the bank. Yeah, ma'am, but we have a restriction that you can only take $3,000 or $5,000 out at a given time. I'm sorry. Are you in control of your money? The answer is no. The bank's in control of your money, and they're making 400 to 1,300% on your money. So what's the answer there? Diversify. Take your money out of those conventional banks and diversify it. Go find yourself a little community bank. Go find that little community bank Mike's talking about. Deposit 10 grand there. Go find a credit union. Deposit 10 grand there. Find another community bank. Deposit 10 grand there. Spread that shit out, guys. Because you know what can happen? In martial law, not that we're going to get there, but in martial law, you are not in control of the money in your bank. The government is. You want to diversify that? Get 10 grand little pots of money in all the different banks. But you know what the wealthy do with money? This is where you're really going to sit there and say that I'm a fool or I'm just way too smart. You know what the wealthy people do with banks or with their money? They don't use banks. Do you know who they put their money with? Mutually owned giant insurance companies. That's right. That's where they put their money. You know where this started? Back when the Rockefellers had all their money and they didn't trust banks. They found a way to create banking systems with giant insurance companies, mutually owned insurance companies, so they weren't tied to the stock market. And what did they do? They found a way to hide their money, but they found something even better than that. They found a way to put their money in mutually owned insurance companies with a very unique system and a way to do this, but they also found a way to use their money and still get paid interest on the money when they were using it. So let's talk about this real quick. Let's say you got 10 grand and you put 10 grand in your awesome bank, whatever bank, Bank of, Chicago. You deposit your money in the Bank of Chicago, and the Bank of Chicago pays you 1%. And you're excited about that right now because that's about the best you're going to get. But now you found this investment, or you need that 10 grand back. So you go to your bank and you take that 10 grand out if they'll give it to you. When you take that money out of your bank that was earning 1%, do you keep earning 1% on your money? No, of course not. Silly me. If I took my money, why would the bank still pay me interest? Okay. But if you had your money in an insurance company, this is a very specially designed system that you need to learn about. That's what this book's about. And I'm going to give everyone in your audience this book, which will teach you what I'm talking about. It's called Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. You put your money in an insurance company, and the insurance company agrees to pay you a guaranteed 4% on your money. Way better than 1%, right? But then the insurance company is mutually owned, so they also pay you a dividend every single year on your money because it's a mutually owned company. They share their profits with you. But then what the insurance company says is, hey, if you want to use your money, what we can do is we will actually lend you our money from our general account, because we got to make that money move, because that's how they make money. They move their money. We will lend you, the person who's got this account at the insurance company, will lend you money. And we'll lend you money at a lower interest rate than what we're paying you. So now you're sitting there and you're thinking, wait a second. So my money's in this insurance company. You're paying me 4% plus a dividend. So I'm making over 6% on my money. And now I can take all of my money out and I can still continue to earn 6% on my money, even though I took it all out. Hold on a second. What just happened? You just learned how to be in control of your money, and you learned how to protect your money, because giant insurance companies don't go down when the markets do. Ask Ray Kroc, ask Walt Disney, ask Stanford University, and so many more, why they use mutually owned insurance companies for their banking and how they do it. That's what I teach people. That's the biggest thing you need to learn. You need to learn how to take back control of your money by the couple different ways I just said. Get those lines of credit and put that money to work. And if you don't have a line of credit, go apply immediately, because that right's going to be taken away. But some of you are thinking, yeah, but Chris, I got money in a line of credit and I can take that money anytime I want. You can, until the bank says you can't. That's 2009, right. A lot of people, exactly right. In 2009, a lot of people had lines of credit and they were like, oh my God, I got a line of credit, no big deal. And the bank said, sorry, frozen. Yeah. Where are you at then? The people that will win this game, and this game is going to be a hard one to win, but this game is one you can win. And it all starts with you taking back control of your money and learning how to do that. And it's very simple. Do everything the opposite way of what you've been taught to do with money, or read my book, or find me and start watching my YouTube videos, watch my Facebook videos. They're all free. And I teach you exactly how to do this. It's literally like, You have to be the light in the darkness during these times. You have to go out there. If you're a real estate investor, your number one job right now is to go out and solve other people's problems. We all have problems, but the people's problems you need to solve is everybody else's. Your problems will then be solved. So let's just talk about money. Let's say you need money for your real estate deals. You're like, oh, Chris and Mike, I want to do real estate. I really want to get into this real estate game, but I don't have any money. Folks, if that was what if you thought that it was all about your resources that wins the game, you are so misinformed. It's not about your resources. It's about your resourcefulness. Go out there, get a real estate deal under contract, then go out there and solve someone's problems. And you know what problems people have? Their car payment, their college tuition, their mortgage payment. Go out and find somebody that's got a house that has some equity and say, I can show you how to have your house pay for your car if you give me 10 minutes of your time. Do you think you'll get 10 minutes of their time if you said that to them? Oh yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
They'll perk right up and be like, wait. What you can show me how to have my house pay for my car? Really? That sounds too good to be true. Indulge. And what you're going to do is you're going to then present an opportunity for them to do something bigger than they can ever do. Because it's not about their money. It's about what their money can do. Their money is going to transform an apartment building or a house or maybe a community. And you're going to show them how that money that's sitting in their house and their home equity line of credit can be used with your deal, securitized by your deal. And what did you just do? You literally showed them how to have their lazy money go to work for them. And because of that, their house is paying for their car now because the interest payments you're making to them makes their car payment and maybe takes their family out to a nice dinner. Folks, it really is that simple. If you just stop focusing on you, and you start focusing on them, and you start just going out and solving problems, simple, common, everyday problems, you will become massively wealthy during this period of time.
That's awesome, Chris. Thank you very much for sharing that. That's like I said, you're spitting gold, man. Like people
I didn't mean to go down the rabbit hole
to this stuff, dude. Like it's just really, really good stuff. And I remember back in it was 2008 or something. I don't remember the exact year, but the little local mom and pop bank, the community bank, I had a substantial line of credit, and he called me up. He says, Mike, I want you to max out your line of credit. Just take all the cash out. Now, this is the bank telling me this, right? He's like, I want you to max it out. He goes, you want me just to transfer it to your account? I'm like, yes, now. So, it's like, it was just, it makes sense. Everything that you're doing. Like,
all the sense.
I remember I leveraged my own home that I lived in years ago to buy up lots, property, why not? And, I did very well from that. And, it just keep on scaling up. And for people to actually, like, just to break down. I remember one of the only courses I ever took for real estate that like an online course, and it had to do with buying properties in your IRA.
Yeah, self-directed IRAs.
Now that's something that a lot of people don't know about. And Chris, I sat there. There you go. Yep. And I sat there and I listened to that 45-minute little, podcast probably 15 times, because in my mind, that's like you said earlier, the traditional way, the 401k thing, go to your little bank and they got your best interest in sight. Bullshit.
Yeah,
they got their best interest
right?
in sight.
Always.
They got that brick and mortar business and employees to pay and furniture and utilities and taxes. Man, I took control of my IRA, and that was another area that people can actually do exactly what you're saying, to
That's
do.
That's what we teach, self-directed IRAs, how to be the bank.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the equity. Maybe you're a renter.
Oh my God, yeah. I can show people how to pay all their debt off using their 401ks through new provisions that just came out with this COVID thing. It's called the CARES Act. If you got credit card debt that's burying you, I can show you how to use the money and be the bank that you already have. The money is doing nothing in your retirement account, how to use that, and then just take what you're giving to the credit card companies every month and just pay that back to yourself. Wouldn't it be better suited if all you had to do is change one thing in your life, just one thing, and everything else would change? Well, that one thing is stop giving your good dollars away today. Find ways to be the bank. Find ways to use your money instead of using someone else's money. And then the most important thing is the recycle, recapture. You can build wealth through your own debts and expenses. Just look at what you're giving to everybody else. How much are you giving to the credit card companies? How much are you giving to the banks? How much are you giving to everybody else? I could show you a way by changing one thing to take all that money back that you're giving away to everybody else and to pay it to yourself. And if you just did that one thing, your life would transform inside of 12 months. And we've done it we've done it thousands of times for people.
Yeah. Every time you say the one thing, I think about that book, The One Thing.
Yeah. Sometimes it is that simple, but you know what? People listening to this are gonna be like, oh, that sounds too good to be true. There's no way all I have to do is change one thing. Okay, keep telling yourself that. And you're just like all the trolls. They go onto my Facebook post and say, nothing's for free. Okay, well then move on. If you don't think my training's for free, which it truly is, there's no sale or nothing, just learn. Because if I show you the path, if I show you the way, then I'm the guy at the end of the door that you're gonna need to ask, how do I do this? There's no other way.
Yeah. And just to circle back here, going back to where we started, of Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, Sam Zell. These are the guys that know how to do it. These are the guys that are billionaires, that are crushing it. Look, they don't need us at all. They've got it figured out. It's the difference is for the person that's listening to this to go out and take what? Take what? Come on, Chris, help me out. What kind of action?
What was it? It was massive MFing action.
There you go.
Did I miss anything? I think I got it all. Massive MFing action. I was just making sure I didn't miss one.
Massive MFing action. You got it, man. And that's what just it. Like, I remember, when things start going tough, it's like as if, like, when I'm working, I'm balls out as it is. Like, I can't imagine going anymore. But man, when opportunity's there or something hits me personally, because I'm talking like, then it's like, oh shit, man, like I gotta go faster. I'm like, man, I didn't know I had that in me, man, And like right now is the time to take that action. And I can't stress it enough. I can't do it, neither can you, right? You wrote the book on it. You can't you speak to many people. You can't do it for them. No. You just can't.
I can show them the way to the water, but they got to drink it themselves, man. And that's the hardest thing. And that's the hardest thing for me with what I do. I literally can transform people's lives very easily. But the biggest problem I face is, oh my God, I can only help 5% because the other 95% out there, they either will not accept, they won't accept help. They think they know what they don't know. Will Rogers said the most profound quote, and I repeat it on every single podcast and training I do. Will Rogers said the biggest problem in America is not what people don't know. The biggest problem is what people think they know that just ain't so. And the biggest takeaway to that is stop taking advice from people that aren't doing what you want to do, that aren't living the life that you want to live. And that's what people do. They take advice from a bunch of fools. A bunch of gurus who call themselves gurus who never have failed in their lives, but they're failing now. All those gurus that were out there on the internet pitching this or that, where are they now? It's funny because like they're gone. They're gone because they can't afford that Lamborghini or they can't go rent that Lamborghini today to do their next video. So whoops, can't do it. Learn from people that have failed. That's why my podcast, when we did that, I always want to know the journey. Like, how many times have you gotten kicked in the nuts? Because that shows me how good you are at what you do. The more times you fail, the stronger you are as a businessman. Because you can't get to the top without failing. And you're
that's iron, right?
You're going to fail. So just accept it, embrace it, and just learn from your failures. But don't quit. When you get down at your lowest point, don't quit. Realize that at that point, when you're down at the bottom, the only place you can go is up. You've got a blank canvas. Just grab the paintbrush, grab your colored markers, and start freaking drawing. I'm just going to pull this out. I'm big into drawing things, but I'll just show one thing here real quick because I don't want to be on this all day. But I know there's a bunch of numbers and everything else here. If this is where we were in 2020, I don't know if your audience can see that. This is where we're at now. We just had this little speculative bump, which everybody thought, oh my God, it's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
The stock market's going back up. Let's
Yeah.
pile all our money back in. Folks,
Right.
that is the biggest trap on earth.
Mhm.
Everybody that's putting money in the stock market right now thinking it's going back up, guess who's going to win? Warren Buffett. Guess who else is going to win? Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio already won because Ray Dalio predicted this, shorted the market, and he won't go public saying this, but he tripped up one time. He said he did this, and then he rescinded it. He shorted the whole market. And he probably made hundreds of billions of dollars for his clients because he just predicted something that I knew and everybody else in my field knew. This cycle from 2008 to 2020 was predictable. It's easy. It's the easiest thing in the world to predict, but the hardest thing in the world to do is to take action and actually be that first person that says it's all going to go down. When everybody else is saying, no, it's going up. My advisor's saying, oh my God, it's going up. That guy's a fool telling you to take your money out of the market. Who's laughing now? Because it took you 11 years to make what you made from 2008 to 2020. And how long did it take you to give it all back? 2 weeks, folks. 11 years, you lost it all in 2 weeks. Now who's the one that should be listening? Right here is where you should have got out. And now right here in this little pump, if you didn't get out in this little bump up, you need to start thinking again, because I'll tell you what, the one who's going to win this game is the one with the cash. And the one with the cash or access to the cash, you don't need to have the cash. You just need to have access to the cash is the one that wins the game. And the only way to win this game is to give, and solve problems for other people. And if you do that, I mean, Tony Robbins and all the gurus talk about it. If you just focus your whole life on giving to others and helping others, you will live your perfect day every day. It's the only way to do it.
Dude, that's awesome. Chris, thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
All you've done is give, man. So how do people get in touch with you?
Just chrisnaugle.com. It's Naugle. You can go to my website. I'm all over social media. People love Instagram, so go to Chris_Naugle. I'm on Instagram. I still answer all my direct messages, so hit me up. And also, too, one more give. I want to give every single one of your audience this book. This book will change your life. I promise you. It will show you how to build wealth through your own debts and expenses and everything else. This book you can have for free, but you got to pay the shipping. So to get that book for free, go to moneyschoolrei.com/new book. It's moneyschoolrei.com/new book. And you read that book, and I guarantee you what you learn there will transform everything because it'll teach you what I just told you.
But you have to apply it.
Yeah, well, that's very true. You can read this book, and at the end where it gives you the ability to set up a call with me or with Brent to answer your questions, and that's all we do. We'll see how many of you actually call because that's what taking action looks like.
Awesome. Cool, dude. I appreciate it, man. And one of the things that I like to say at the end of mine is to live fully, love openly, and make a difference. And you've made a difference today. So thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate you, man.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time.